Today's video is about how systems get the energy that they need in order to do the things that they do. Now, for a lot of systems, this is very obvious. For example, with your PlayStation at home, all you need to do is plug it into the power point and you've got the energy that you require. You can play your games. However, how do you get the energy that you need in order to do what you do? Say, for example, riding your bike. How do you get that energy that is needed for your muscles to contract in order to move the pedals? Or something as simple as sitting there thinking in a maths test. Obviously, we know that we get our energy from the food that we eat, but how exactly do we take that food and turn it into a form of energy that we can use for all of the different body processes that take place? Well, the answer is respiration. But before we move on to what actually happens in respiration, let's make sure we're talking about the right respiration. If we look up respiration on the internet and use Wikipedia, we'll see that we'll get two different definitions. Cellular respiration, which is what we're concerned with today, and then physiological respiration. So if I can just go to physiological respiration first of all, this is the way in which we exchange gases with the environment. So we require oxygen in our bodies, and this is carried around our bodies in the blood. And we produce a waste product called carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide needs to be removed. So both of these gases can travel around the body, between the cells and around the body in the blood, in the circulatory system. We actually exchange them with the environment through our breathing or respiratory system. So this is where the confusion comes. The respiratory system exchanges gases with the environment. But cellular respiration is this process that we're going to look at today that allows us to get the energy that we need in our bodies for all of the processes that we do. There are two types of cellular respiration. The first one that we're going to look at is aerobic respiration. And the term aerobic means that it uses oxygen in the process. So we know that we get our energy from our food. Once the food is in our body, that needs to be broken down and converted into a form that the cells can use. And this form of energy that we get, which we do eat directly, is glucose. Glucose is a 6-carbon sugar with the formula C6H12O6. And essentially what we're doing in cellular respiration is releasing the energy that is in this molecule, that is in the glucose. So as I said, with aerobic respiration, we also require oxygen. And to break down one glucose, we need 6 oxygen molecules. So each oxygen molecule is 2 oxygen atoms, or O2. So we require 6 O2, 6 oxygen molecules, in order to fully break down that glucose. So in the process, we produce some waste. We produce some carbon dioxide, and again we can see that there are 6 carbon dioxide molecules that are produced. We produce some water, again 6 water molecules are produced, and then we get the all-important energy. But what is this form of energy? What is this all-important energy that we get from aerobic cellular respiration? Well, it's a substance called ATP. Now, as you can see in this picture here, it's quite a complex molecule, but the important bit you need to look at, or the important bit we need to identify, is this bit on the end here. So what we've got here is we've got 3 phosphate groups. We've got a phosphate group here, another one here, and another one here. And it's these phosphate groups that either attach to the molecule or are released from the molecule where the energy is contained. So as it stands, this molecule, ATP, that we have here, is a high energy molecule. This is the substance that your cells can use to make muscles contract, to make thinking occur in your brain, to pump the blood around your body, to detect things that you see. So every process that happens inside your body that requires energy uses this molecule. It's sometimes referred to as the body's energy currency. A bit like, I guess, currency, monetary currency. In your body, you can only use ATP as the energy currency. Much like here in Australia, you can only use the Australian dollar for your monetary currency. You can't go into a shop. You can't easily go into a shop with a load of Great British pounds or American dollars or yen or rand and use them. You need to convert them first into Australian dollars in order to be able to use them in the shop. And that's what needs to happen in your body. In the breakdown of the glucose, which is a form of energy, the breakdown of the glucose, this ATP molecule is produced, and then it's in the right currency to be able to use in your body. Once you've got the ATP and it's used up, what happens to it? Well, it breaks down into this molecule here, which is ADP, because one of these phosphates breaks off from the end. So in doing so, this phosphate breaking off, this releases the energy that your cells require in order to do the processes that they need to do. And so in aerobic cellular respiration, what your body is doing is the opposite of that. It's converting ADP, which I've got over here, with a free phosphate group, joining the two things together to then produce the ATP molecule that your cells can then use in order for their processes. So the last bit to look at is what is called anaerobic respiration. So the first type of cellular respiration that we looked at was aerobic. Now we have anaerobic. So by putting this an in front of the word, it's the anti of the other one. So this one is without oxygen, and you can see there is no oxygen used in this process. So this process produces energy, just like just like aerobic respiration, but we don't require the oxygen. This might seem like a good thing. And why doesn't our body always do anaerobic respiration? What's the point of getting the oxygen in, pumping it around the body, and then using it in order to break down the glucose? Well, there's a couple of reasons really. Firstly, in this process, when the glucose is broken down, it isn't fully broken down. If you remember, in aerobic respiration, the glucose was broken down and all we had left was carbon dioxide and water, two small molecules. This time it's only partially broken down into lactic acid. So this partial breakdown means we don't get as much energy from the process. And in fact, in aerobic respiration, the number of ATP molecules that can be made is about 38, whereas in this process, the energy that's yielded actually ends up producing around about 2 ATP. So we're not getting value for our glucose through anaerobic respiration. And the other product that is produced is an acid. And this can cause an acidic environment in your muscles, which can cause pain. And a build-up of acid causes burning in your muscles. You might have experienced this during the end stages of a particularly vigorous race or bicycle ride. And this is quite a painful feeling. So why do we do anaerobic respiration at all? Well, it is really just at that point, towards the end of a race or a particularly strenuous activity. It just allows us to produce a little bit more energy when we can't quite get oxygen in. So normal activities are going to use aerobic respiration, getting oxygen in, getting glucose in, down into the cells in order to produce the ATP. But if you just really want to push at the end of that race, or if our ancestors were running away from a saber-toothed tiger, that push, that final push, that last bit of energy that you can get, you can't get the oxygen in quick enough, and so we can release some energy from anaerobic cellular respiration for a short period of time.